Welcome. Let's get our joints going with a little bit of fluid movement today. Let's begin in tabletop, squaring our hands below our shoulders and finding a nice rooted position. We're going to begin with a little wrist maintenance. Keeping our arms straight, we're going to focus on creating little arches, just small, subtle movements, inviting that blood flow into the wrists, and allowing this part of our body a little bit of time to warm up. Keep the movement subtle. If you find you bend your arms, just straighten them. Couple more. And when you're ready, we're going to take our fingers from forward to inward, making sure to keep them square below our shoulders, starting with the mounds, the body of our hands, and letting our fingers reach out from there. And then we're going to repeat this movement. Subtle little arches, keeping those arms straight, keeping those knees rooted. That way they can support us through the movement. And keep breathing, no breath holding. Couple more. And for the next part of our sequence, we're going to take our fingers from inward to outward, keeping those arms straight once more, and again, inviting those little arches and movements. And finding that rhythm. And a couple more. And when you're ready, we're going to move back to our tabletop, bringing those fingers forward. And now we move through the spine, focusing on a little bit of cat-cow. If you'd like some help activating this mula bandha, you can take these toes and connect them to the mat, and you'll feel this subtle activation here in this space. That is your mula bandha. Keeping that activation, pushing into the mat and inviting that navel to reach for that spine, keeping that core compression. We've got a Halloween kitty cat back going on. Neck is loose. And with an inhale, lead that sternum forward. Still keeping that navel to spine engagement, creating a little pull with our hands into the mat to create space. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And again, exhale. And inhale. And do a couple more with the rhythm of your breath. And find the pace that works for you. And a couple more. Really focusing on that spine. And on your next cycle, go ahead and come back into neutral tabletop. From here, if your toes are not connected, go ahead and connect them. And invite you to push back with those palms and bring those hips back into our first downward facing dog of the practice. Heels do not have to touch, but they may. If you feel pressure behind the knees, soften them. Invite a little bend there. This is also downward facing dog. And if you'd like to invite a little bit of side to side movement, you can soften one leg more and invite an opening of the side body. And with the breath, inhale, opposite side. Softening the opposite knee. And again, a couple more. Rotating from side to side. Alternating that open. Really feeling that side body. And keep breathing through your cycle. And return back to downward facing dog when you're ready. We're going to do a bit of scapular work, so leaning forward into plank. We're going to do a few scapular push-ups. We're going to keep our arms still again and focus on moving in the shoulders, finding this push into the mat. And you'll find a little bit more space is created. And let's go for 8 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Push it back into downward facing dog. And take a couple of full vessel breaths here. And when you're ready, we're going to invite a bit more movement into the spine, becoming a wave from the toes up. We're going to push off from the toes. And as we roll that energy up, allowing that Halloween kitty cat back to roll up, gaze goes forward. And then once you get to the top of your wave, those hips go back. And you're going back, back, back out into the ocean. Neck goes through. Gaze is at the feet. And when you're ready to inhale, wave it forward, pushing off from the toes. Gaze goes forward. Bring those hips back. Push with the hands. Gaze at the toes. And let's wave it through a couple more times, starting from the root up and back. And wave and back. And again, inhale and exhale as you pull the wave back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. One more time. Exhale back. And take a moment here in downward facing dog. Neck is still loose. Arms are still pushing into the mat. Legs might be getting a little warmer now. When you're ready, we're going to slightly center our left foot as to be able to raise the right, keeping that right leg bent. We're going to do a few hip circles, finding a little bit of fluidity in that joint, allowing that leg to make a little circle, focusing the movement on the joint, feeling those hammies. Let's do a few more. And one more. And return that leg back down. Wave it forward. Rock it back. If you need to rebalance your weight, we're going to be centering off that right foot, bringing that left leg back. Leg is bent, keeping that tuck. And let's circle this side just a few times to get those hip joints going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more, 8, and rest that leg. Wave it forward. This time stay in blank. And let's give 4 solid pushes into the mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back into downward facing dog. Let's again take that right leg back, keeping a bend and keeping it as tightly snug to our body as we can, trying to really keep this connect. We're going to rock it forward into plank and just barely tap that elbow and push it back, keeping that leg tucked. And repeat. rocking it forward, keeping that body compression. And again, back into downward dog. One more knee tap, rock it forward. And rest back in downward facing dog. Breathe. And when you're ready, rock forward into plank. Push it back into downward facing dog, loosening that left leg, keeping that bend. And we're going to repeat, keeping the same tight tug against our body, rocking it forward into plank for just a little tap there on our arm, and back into downward facing dog. And 2 more times, rock it forward, push it back. 1 more time, rock it forward, push it back. Rest in downward facing dog. And bring the knees down to the mat. And if you wish to repeat a few more circles on our wrists, realign those hands if you need, fingers forward. And I'm going to give a few rotations, creating that little arch and that subtle movement to the joint there. Arms are strong, keeping that movement focused in our wrists. And when you're ready, find neutral. And we're going back to tabletop. So if you need to adjust your spacing a little bit, absolutely find that placement on the mat. So much like we did those hip circles in downward facing dog, we're going to repeat this in tabletop. I'm loosing my right first, keeping that bent tuck leg, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Rest that leg. Opposite side, keeping that bend, finding that extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Rest that knee. And take a moment to connect those toes, feeling that space. Connect those hands and bring it on back into downward facing dog. If you wish to wag the dog some more, we can soften that knee again and open up that side body. But let's take our time this time and really breathe into that open and feeling that stretch of our leg extension. And when you're ready, we're going to rotate it through the other side on an inhale. Open on the exhale. Feeling that side body, feeling those legs, feeling that nice calf stretch. Taking a moment. And when you need to move back through neutral, let's go back into our downward facing dog. Neck is still loose. And let's let a few more waves roll through us, beginning with the toes. Moving up through the spine, gaze goes forward. Exhale back. And again. And back. Become the wave. With the breath. And remain here in downward facing dog for a moment. If you wish to take a break from your wrists or intensify the inversion a bit, you can come down to the elbows, keeping that hand connect, but now we have an elbow connect. Neck is still loose. And breathe here. If you did come down to your elbows, you can create a little push. Find this open space in your shoulders here. And just breathe into this space. Feeling those scapula connect across the back as that heart space opens. Neck is still loose, no tension here. Legs are strong, but we can soften and still be strong if you need. And if you're in dolphin pose, let's go ahead and find our way out of it. And come back to tabletop, letting those knees connect. And breathe here. If you'd like to extend your left leg and your right hand into pointer dog, we can add a little bit more balance play here. Connection with the earth is strong, hand is strong, rooting knee is strong. I have a solid gaze ahead of me to root me. And breathe here, finding a little stillness. And when you're ready, root that knee, root that hand, shake it out if you need, and we're going to go opposite side, this time extending my right leg. And if you feel rooted, that left arm, finding that gaze, and breathing into this space in between ease and effort. Keep breathing. And when you need to rest, allow that knee and that hand to connect back down. And exhale into cat, finding that push of the spine into that little arch. Neck is loose. And inhale that heart forward and find our way into cow. Navel to spine is still strong, arms are strong, neck is loose. And exhale back. And as we find our exhale, let's push it back. Find our way into seated position. Hands may be beside you, hands may go in the lap. I like my palms to be up as to receive the energy around me. Neck is still loose. Spine is long. And take a few full vessel breaths here. Full in, full out. Full in, full out. Then check in with the body. Check in with the joints. We did a bit of wrist work today. Check in with the hips. How does your spine feel? Find what serves you and what you like for your practice, what works for you, and maybe what doesn't. That's okay too. And thank yourself for showing up today, here, for you. Happy practicing.